Hey YouTube, welcome back for a little Friday philosophy. I am the bearded Bristol, and I am going to change things up tonight because I can. I've been hitting the philosophy train pretty hard lately, and feel like I'm beating myself up and maybe beating some of you up as well. So we're going to switch things up, and I'm going to do a little story time, but not just any story time. I am going to read a short story to you from American childhood's best books. This is certainly something you've seen on Masterpiece Theater. No, you haven't. You've likely never seen or heard anything like this before. But first, a little backstory. This was my mother's book. She grew up reading this, and her parents grew up reading it to her, which you'll find even more disturbing as we embark on this little adventure. This is Reading Rainbow for the emotionally disturbed, and I shouldn't poke too much fun at this, but it was copywritten, copyrighted, copywrote, 1942. And we have some of your favorite stories in here, including Little Red Riding Hood, which is all fine and good. But one moment here. We also have the story of Sophie Spoil-All, the story of Slovenly Peter, the story of the Crybaby. Those I am not going to read to you tonight because I don't think that's not quite what I'm here for. We're here for something even more fun, and so sit back, grab yourself a beverage of choice, and enjoy the next 5 or 6 minutes of reading because that's all it's going to take. I did say it was a short story. So let me put on my reading voice and do my best Waves of Java impression. Hey, Greg. Hi, Sophie. No, don't let Sophie watch this. Just don't. We have this evening the dreadful story of Pauline and the matches. Bum, bum, bum. Mama and Nurse went out one day and left Pauline alone at play. Around the room she gaily sprung, and clapped her hands and danced and sung. Now on the table close at hand, a box of matches chanced to stand, and kind Mamma and Nurse had told her that if she touched them, they would scold her. But Pauline said, "Oh, what a pity, for when they burn it is so pretty. They crackle so and spit and flame, and Mamma often burns the same. I'll just light a match or two, as I've often seen my mother do." When Mins and Mons, the pussycats, heard this, they held up their paws and began to hiss. "Meow," they said, "meow, meow, you'll burn to death if you do so. Your parents have forbidden you, you know." But Pauline would not take advice. She lit a match, it was so nice. It crackled so, it burned so clear, exactly like the picture here. We have to pause because there are illustrations. Oh, look and see the cute little cats. The cats are even there telling her, you know, don't do this, don't do this. But Pauline would not. Oh, golly, and now I'm repeating myself. When Mins and Mons, the little cats, saw this, they said, "Oh, naughty, naughty miss," and stretched their claws and raised their paws. "'Tis very, very wrong, you know. Meow, 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 meow. You will be burnt if you do so. Your mother has forbidden you, you know. Now see, oh see, what a dreadful thing. The fire has caught her apron string. Her apron burns, her arms, her hair. She burns all over, everywhere." Fortunately, we have another picture in case that illustration just doesn't do it for you. Oh goodness, she is burning all over. She is burning everywhere. And there are the cats with their paws in the air. Then how the pussycats did mew. What else poor pussies could they do? They screamed for help, 'twas all in vain. So then they said, we'll scream again. Make haste, meow, meow. She'll burn to death. We told her so. She was burnt with all her clothes, and arms and hands, and eyes and nose, till she had nothing more to lose, except her scarlet little shoes, and nothing else but these was found amongst her ashes on the ground. And when the good cat sat beside the smoking ashes, oh, how they cried, meow, 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 what will Mama and Nursey do? Their tears ran down their cheeks so fast, they made a little pond at last. The end. So hopefully you would sleep well after hearing that when you are, I don't know, 7 years old. I just, again, find this book to be absolutely fascinating. These are like fairy tales for Cousin Eddie. There is not a one of these little stories that doesn't end tragically somehow. I won't spoil any of the other endings because they are, in some cases, even more delightful than this young lady burning to her ashes. Everything but her shoes. What were we making shoes out of in the 40s? I would like to know. That said, I don't want this to get terribly heavy, but I have commented previously about what I consider to be the homogenization of our society in terms of it's okay for you to believe what you want to believe as long as you agree with me. You know, we are releasing our individuality and our freedom of expression so that we can be more individual and more like everybody else, which is just wonderful. And if you've followed me for a while, you know I'm a believer of trying to understand where the other person came from. What is the historical context? You know, what was their upbringing all about? Well, this ought to tell you a little something about the state of where our children of the 40s maybe were coming from. It was a much different time, a much sterner time. Television didn't exist in every household. And when it did, if it did, most of those folks were lucky to get a channel. Only one. Yes, we're dialing back a ways there, folks. You know, movie-tone news was a big thing during World War II. You went to the theater to find out what was actually happening overseas. So, you know, it was a drastically different time, and children were raised way, way different than today. But similarly, move fast forward to the 70s and 80s. Our Looney Tunes are going away, or have gone away for all intents and purposes. And you think about, you know, I loved Saturday morning cartoons and watching Marvin the Martian blast people, watching Yosemite Sam chase around with his guns. Of course, who did not love Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner? All too violent, all too racist, all too insensitive for the modern era in which we live. Fortunately, don't tell anybody. I have a 2 DVD set of Looney Tunes that I prize. I've not yet even watched the whole thing, but I put it in from time to time for 5 or 10 minutes and just laugh and also kind of cry at the fact that kids now don't get access to that. And I don't believe that those cartoons made me particularly racist or particularly violent. Although I did once try to push an anvil onto somebody. Some food for thought. Yeah, I am a terribly mean and nasty person. But all of that said, I just think we're running down a strange path where we're taking everything sharp away from children. And I'm not talking about knives, mind you, although that's kind of what I was talking about. But, you know, no playgrounds that have actual rocks on them. Everything is foam rubber. You know, we are insulating children now And some of those are teenagers and young adults. We have insulated them from so much that's out there in the world that they may or may not agree with, but by not getting those bumps and bruises and scrapes, not only from the playground, but from television cartoons that in their own way taught a little harsh reality in terms of, you know, if you get hit on the head, you're probably going to get one of those giant lump things. You know, of course, an exaggeration, but a reality. And, you know, I just hope we can keep some cultural moments like this alive. So this has been your Bearded Bristol edition of Masterpiece Theater, or Reading Rainbow for the Dysfunctional. I'm not sure. But if you guys like this, we may make this a series, because there's at least a half a dozen other tales in here worth spreading around the World Wide Webs. For the record, enjoying my Dr. Graybo Duke and a little bit of Boswell's Best. Drinking a little bit of cheap scotch on this Friday evening, but as an FYI, hoping to do a scotch review this weekend. May happen on Sunday if I can find something worth reviewing. I don't have a great selection around here, so it may require a drive, which is why it may not happen on Sunday. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this little trip back into time, and no matter who you are, where you are, hope you're having a great weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.